Greetings, this is a video on everything you need to know about equations for Year 7, 8 and part of Year 9. We don't cover quadratic equations. So we classify an equation by its highest power. Of the pronumeral or variable. So pronumeral is a letter which represents a number, and a variable is a synonym of a pronumeral. Pronumerals are synonymous with equations with one variable. Whereas variable is used when often there's one or more letters. Okay, so you can see here that the power is 1. So we call that linear. Say it was w squared, this is quadratic. And say we get w cubed, that is cubic. So an equation has two parts. The right hand side and the left hand side. It has an equal sign, an equality sign. It often has an operation, and it sometimes has numbers. You could have an equation with no numbers. So what is an equation then? Well, there are two types of if we consider that, we call that an expression. It's an equation if we add an equal sign. Okay, so how on earth do we solve equations? So you've got some really nasty group and symbols there. So I want to do this analogy. Say we have a ball of string and we want to find out the length of that string. The string is all knotted, so we need to unpick the knots. We need to apply our reverse operations. So for instance, if we go around like that, the reverse operation is to go the opposite way to unpick this mess. And that's effectively what we do with equations. We need to unpick and use reverse or inverse operations to get x equals. Well, a prerequisite is that you know what the inverses of operations are. So operation, inverse, addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. You should all be familiar with these. So the inverse of add, if I give you $10, I can take $10 away. If I borrow $10 off you, I can give you $10 back. If I multiply you by a number, I divide you by the same number, I arrive at what I started with. And if I divide something, say 12, divided by 6, which is 2, if I multiply by 6, I get back to 12. So those are your inverse operations. So say we have 2m is equal to 10. This is referred to as a coefficient. We need to apply our inverse operations. Okay, so let's have a go at solving these. So we apply the distributive law, so we get 2w minus 10 is equal to 4. Our first inverse operation is add 10 to both sides to get 2w is equal to 14. Then we divide both sides by 2, keeping the equal signs underneath, so we get w is equal to 7. Sometimes referred to as the balancing method. If we do one thing to one side, we need to do the same thing to the other. Okay, so pause the video and have a go at these questions. Hopefully you've done that now. So I'm going to apply the distributive property. I'm going to get 3, and I'm going to get 12n is equal to 15. We arrived at 3 by multiplying 3 times 1. We arrived at 12n by multiplying 4n multiplied by 3. Okay, so we've got something a little bit trickier here. If you want to rewrite this as 12n plus 3 is equal to 15, if you're more comfortable with that, it's the same as the previous one. We subtract 3 both sides, so we get 12n is equal to 12. Divide by 12 both sides, and we get n is equal to 1. Hopefully you've done this now. We apply the distributive property, so we get 5 minus 15p is equal to 20. Yikes, didn't want that. So we got p, 20. We need to subtract 5 from both sides to get negative 15p is equal to 15. We always divide by the coefficient of p, because don't forget we want 1p is equal to. So we divide by negative 15. Like that. Okay. To get negative 1. Now, have a think how you can check to see if these answers are correct. So pause the video and check to see how we can get, how we can double check to see if these answers are right. So hopefully you've done that now. And the correct method was to substitute back in and get the left hand side equal to the right hand side. So if we sub in w is equal to 7, by sub in I mean substitute, we've got 2 w minus 5. So we've got 2, 7 minus 5. Well, that's 2, 7 minus 5 is 2. We get 4. So we've shown that the right hand side is equal to the left hand side. 4 is indeed equal to 4. Okay, so that concludes the section on grouping symbols. So now we've got equations with pronumerals or variables on both sides. I'm going to solve the first one. The first thing we do is select the largest. So this tells us we need to get all letters on the left hand side and all numbers on the right hand side. Now we could reverse that. We get the same answer. But it's easier if we keep the coefficient of the pronumeral positive. So we need to apply inverse operations to get rid of the 2x here, because we need x equals at the bottom. So let's do that then. Subtract 2x from both sides. So then I'm left with 5x plus 7 is equal to 2. And now I need to get rid of the 7. Next line I get 5x is equal to negative 5. Then I divide by the coefficient of our variable to get negative 1. Okay, so hopefully you've done this. The largest coefficient here is -2. So we add 6y to both sides. 6y minus 6y is 0. We get 4y here. We subtract 10 both sides to get -1 is equal to 4y. And we divide by 4 both sides to get y is equal to -1/4. And it's common to write the pronumeral first on the left hand side. That's the convention, but you won't get marked wrong if you do this. So this may look a little bit suspicious, and let's show that this is correct. That should equal well, a negative times a negative is a positive. So a quarter of something is half in twice. So we got 9 plus half of 6 is 3, 1.5. Then we've got 10. Half twice is 0.5. So we get 10.5 is equal to 10.5, which is correct. Okay, so that concludes the section on variables on both sides. Okay, so pause the video and have a go at doing these questions, and then I'll do the solutions. So hopefully you've done that now. So let's go through these and identify the largest coefficient of our variable. So this tells us that we collect the letters on the particular side of the largest coefficient. So we need to get rid of 2w here. So we subtract 2w because that's the opposite of what we have here. So 5w minus 2w is 3w plus 3 is equal to 21. We subtract 3 both sides to get 3w is equal to 18. Divide by 3. And then we get w is equal to 6. Same goes here. We need to subtract q from both sides. We get q, subtract 10 is equal to -4. Add 10 to both sides. And then we get q is equal to 6. Subtract 8x both sides. We get 5x plus 1 is equal to 26. Subtract 1. Get 5x is 25. Divide by 5, we get x is equal to 5. And notice this is a structured solution. I'm communicating my maths throughout the solution. The equal signs are lined up and it's logical and consistent. Okay, so let's have a look at some lovely questions on equations. Okay, so here we've got parentheses, grouping symbols on both sides for B and C. So you need to apply the distributive property, expand the brackets, collect variables on one side, and then solve. So pause the video and have a go at these questions. So hopefully you've done that now. Let's expand this bracket. So we've got 3a plus 21 is equal to 6. Subtract 21 from both sides. So we've got 3a is equal to 15. Divide by 3 both sides. So we get a is equal to 5. Let's apply the distributive property. So we've got 9m minus 45, 7m plus 7. We need to get rid of the 7m. That gives 2m minus 45 is equal to 7. Add 45 to both sides to get 2m is equal to 52. Divide by 2 and we get, my rule, we get m is equal to 26. This is a bit tricksy-dixy, but I'm confident that you're able to solve this. So here we got 10y. We apply the distributive property, so we get 6y plus 15. 6 8s are 48 minus 18y. Collect like terms, we're going to get 4y plus 15 is equal to 48 minus 18y. This is the largest, so we're going to add 18y to both sides, because that's the inverse operation here. So we can collect like terms. 18y plus 4y is 22y, plus 15 is equal to 48. Subtract 15 from both sides to get 22y is equal to 33. We're going to get a nasty number here. We're going to divide by 22. So we get y is equal to 33 over 22. And that goes in once. And we have 8, 9, 10, 11 left over 22, which is 1.5. Let's double check to see if we've done everything correctly. Even I make mistakes sometimes, so it's worth checking your solution. So we've got 10y. We're going to apply the distributive property to get 6y plus 15. On the right hand side, we've got 6 times 8 is 48, 3 6s are 18. We add 18y to both sides after collecting like terms. So we've got 4y. On adding 18y to both sides, we get 22. Then we subtract 15 to get 33. Then we divide by 22. Okay, so let's have a look at some more examples. Okay, so we got some beautiful equation problems here. Now pause the video and use the knowledge which you've learnt in area and volume and perimeter to solve these problems. And it's really important to apply what you've learned in equations to real life. And research has shown that if you apply your skills, you're more likely to remember how to use those skills. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. So I always encourage students when solving problems to draw a shape. Your brain analyzes information if it's grouped and visualized, and that helps you to solve some problems. So a rectangle, let's draw our rectangle, is 3 times as long as its width. So we can call its width, and it's 3 times as long, so 3w. If the perimeter is 60, find its dimensions. So the perimeter is the sum of all the lengths. So we've got w plus 3w plus 3w. That gives 6w, 7w, 8w. And we are told that the perimeter is 60. So we can solve that by dividing by 8. And we get this lovely fraction, 60 over 8. If you don't know how to simplify that fraction, they're both even numbers. So we can halve to get 30 over 4, still even. 15 over 2. 2 divided by 15 is 7.5. Now let's check. If we've got a width of 7.5 and we've got a length of 3 times 7.5, 3 times 7.5, and we can split that up. 3 times 7 plus 3 times 0.5, so we get 21 plus 1.5, that gives 22.5. If we multiply 7.5 by 22.5, we arrive at 168.75. Oh, we've calculated the area. Mr. Winston's gone mad. So we can test that by doing W plus W plus 3W plus 3W. So 7.5 plus 7.5 plus 3 times 7.5 plus 3 times 7.5. This gives 15. This gives 21 plus 1.5, and then 21 plus 1.5. 21 plus 21 is 42. 52, 57, and then we've got 3, which is indeed 60. So that's correct. Always encourage you to substitute back in to see if you've got the correct answer. So have a go at doing the second one, and then I'll do the solution. Okay, so it says a rectangle is 3 times as long as its perimeter. Find its dimensions. Okay, so that is the same as this question. So let's change this to, I'm going to say that this is 100 centimeters. So we're going to get a decimal value. So have a go at doing this question. Okay, so hopefully you've done that now. So the perimeter is the sum of the lengths. And I hope you can recognize that we've got 2 W's here. And then we've got 2 multiplied by 3 W's here. So this gives 2W plus 6W, which gives 8W. And we know that 8W is equal to 100. So we solve this by dividing by 8 both sides. They're both even numbers, so we get 50 over 4. Even again, 25 over 2. And then we get 12.5 centimeters. So let's check to see if this is correct. If it's correct, we should be able to multiply 12.5 plus 6 times 12.5, and we get 25 here. Let's multiply this. 6 times 12 is 72 plus 3. 70, 80, 90, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. Correct. Okay, so have a go at doing this. Consecutive numbers are 1, 2, 3, or 11, 12, 13. they're sequential. That means they follow an order. And it may help to define them as n plus 1, and n plus 2. Okay, so given the information that I've told you, have a go at doing the final equation problem. Okay, so the sum of three consecutive numbers. In algebra, we can write n plus 1 plus n plus 2, and we can show that's correct. If n is 1, the next consecutive number is going to be 2, 3. And we said that the sum is 150. Well, we collect like terms. We get 3n plus 3 is equal to 150. And we need to solve for n. So we subtract 3 both sides. 3n is equal to 147. If we divide both sides by 3, we arrive at 49. Okay, so 49 plus 50 plus 51 makes 150. So we know that we've got the correct solution, and I'd really encourage you to go back and test whether your answer is correct with the information you are given in the question. Okay, so let's move on. Yikes, equations with algebraic fractions. Okay, I'm going to push this down here. Let's get this off the screen. Let's not confuse ourselves. Okay, so you may know how to do these. So pause the video and see if you can get the correct answer, and then I'll go over the solution. So hopefully you've had a go at doing these. I'm just going to write these out of 1. Don't forget that every integer is a fraction because we can put it out of 1. Now we can start on this equation by just subtracting 9 from both sides. That helps us immediately. So if we subtract 9 both sides, we get negative 3, negative 9 is negative 12. Then we've got this nasty fraction here. Now the inverse of divide by 4 is multiplied by 4. So if we multiply both sides by 4, we get negative 48. The 4's cancel. Then we get x plus 11. Inverse operations, subtract 11 from both sides. We arrive at negative 59. Okay, so the second problem, my computer is about to run out of battery. 19% left. Oof, Mr. Winston's got to be quick. Okay, so here it helps if we calculate the lowest common multiple, because we need to get rid of the fractions. We need an integer that is divisible by both 3 and 4. It helps if it's the lowest because that keeps the numbers small, but a common multiple will do. Okay, so let's look at multiples. 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 8, 12. This is the lowest. So we multiply throughout. I'm going to insert parentheses. So 12 divided by, let's be really explicit and show what we're doing. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And we're just left with a set of parentheses on the left hand side and right hand side. So we can apply the distributive law to get 3a subtract 6, 8a plus 20. This is the largest, so inverse operations, negative 6 is equal to 8a plus 20. Inverse operations again, 8a minus 3a is certainly not 8, is 5a, subtract 20 both sides. So we get 5a is equal to negative 26. I'm going to do this up here. 5a is equal to negative 26. Divide by 5 both sides. So we get a is equal to negative 5 and a fifth. And let's double check to see what we've done here. And double check my battery. 18%. Okay, so the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4 is 12, and we've shown an explanation for that above. So we multiply throughout by 12, which is what we've done. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. We apply the distributive property. 3a subtract 6, 8a plus 20. We subtract 3a from both sides. 8a minus 3a is 5a. Then we subtract 20 both sides to get 26. And then we divide by 5 to get negative 5 and a fifth. Okay, so I'm going to show you some more questions which you can do. Below, and I'm going to have to continue the solution in a second video because my battery's about to run out. Okay, so have a go at doing these and have a look for the solutions in the second video.